Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Jon-Bernard. This is Nick. We are the K-Roos Bros, bringing you the fight news around the world. Nick, it's the end of 2024. It's been an eventful year in the UFC, in boxing, in WWE. What's been the highlight for you?
For me, Manel Kape's performance on the weekend. I know it's a lot of recency bias there, but everyone, you see on TikTok, Instagram, the Cody Garbrandt prime when he was just in that fight and just was doing everything perfect. That was Manel Kape on the weekend. Besides the kick to the nuts, which kind of put him off a bit, the 2 kicks to the nuts. Other than that, it was a spectacular performance.
I thought it was one of the, he got robbed the fight of the night. He was unbelievable.
My actual moment of the year was Ilya Topuria knocking out Max Holloway. Just because I didn't think he actually could do it. And the way he did it, and then now he's just like the best featherweight of all time. That's easily the best.
For me personally, it was being there when Rob Whittaker got his teeth removed, while Ilya Topuria also won the BMF, featherweight champion. I think he for me is a fighter of the year. Yes, Alex Pereira did have an unbelievable run, 3 title defenses, but I think Ilya Topuria, to the caliber of opponents he knocked out, for me, he's been my favorite to watch this year, and it's been unbelievable to even get to know him, his managers. They're great.
What a difference, though, like a year makes. Everyone puts out their bold predictions at the start of the year. Who's going to be champion in each division? Ilya Topuria at the start of the year was just known as a bit of an arrogant kid. Doesn't really he's talking too much. Doesn't really, not humble enough. And now all of a sudden he's knocked out 2 of the GOATs in the featherweight division. It's like
potentially talking about a fight with McGregor.
And he's like, he can do whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants. He wants to fight Islam. Yeah, let him do it. Just like that's. You never know what a year's going to do to you.
I'm a big fan of the Ilya Topuria retirement village. But let's go to the MMA hot take of the week. This week's hot take is Colby Covington going to retire after this week?
Well, after his terrible performance against Joaquin Buckley, and he dropped to, I think, 9th in the rankings, I think that was his final fight. He will retire. There's not really much he can offer the UFC anymore. He doesn't. I don't think his ego will allow him to be one of those fighters that just fights late into his career to put people over, give them that tough test to move up the rankings. His ego's not there for that. You could see on the weekend, even in losing the way he did to Buckley, he was still making excuses. Oh, I got caught. Yeah, I was getting on top. I had to spend time with Donald Trump getting him ready.
He said he didn't train. He said he did not train for this. Buckley fought a guy off the couch, according to him. Then you also had his coach, Charles Sonnen, who I respect greatly, one of the greats of the sport. He said, look, that doesn't count. There was a stoppage, the cut, you were getting the better of him in the wrestle. Another 2 rounds, that could go a different way. The tide could have turned. So, again, do I think Buckley was going to win that fight? 100% yes. Do you take that away from Buckley? No, but does Colby have an excuse? I think he does, and that's why I think it's not going to be his last fight.
Yeah, okay.
I think he could still fight. You could still get some money generated from fights like against an Ian Gary, anyone in the top 5, a Jack Della, Sean Brady. But he could fight any of those guys. He could fight a Leon. I'd like to see him fight Leon Edwards again without a broken foot. I mean, there's still things that can be done with Colby there.
The thing with Colby Covington, though, because he's 9th in the rankings, he can't versus Ian Gary because Ian Gary gains nothing from that fight unless he just really hates him that much. Again, Jack Della doesn't really gain much from fighting him.
George Masvidal set to come back in Miami. Could you see a George Masvidal versus Colby Covington too? There's too many potential opponents and money to be made. He just got knocked out of a poker tournament within the first round. I think he's still going to need that UFC money to come through. And even if it means we see him fight once a year, I don't care. I still want to see an entertaining Colby Covington. People saying, he walked out with Hulk Hogan and it was such a terrible performance. He's still an entertainer. You still tuned in to watch and see what would happen. And the UFC still need him.
I wanted him to win, but it was a terrible performance. And really, when it comes to excuses, okay, it wasn't like it was an accidental cut. It wasn't like he, clashed heads. No, he was getting bashed. That's how they got the cut.
Do you think the fight should have been stopped?
Yeah. When it's opened that far and you're just going to continually get hit.
Okay, say that to Benoit Saint Denis. Say that to some female fighters that we've seen brutally cut. We've seen a lot worse. Dana White even said, if that was in Vegas, the commission lets that go. It was a cut above the eye, all right. But the female doctor on the sideline, wincing, love, you're watching UFC. What do you expect?
I do like to sit on the side of caution. Just let the fighters, obviously, they've got more to their life than just this sport.
To be fair, Uncle Chael said he was going to throw in the towel. Chael Sonnen did come out on his podcast recently and say that he was going to throw in the towel at a certain point because it's just not worth the risk of losing vision.
It's more than fighting. Your life is more than fighting. Who knows the damaging effects? He might have lost an eye. You never know.
Yeah.
How the way Joaquin Buckley was hitting his face, God knows what would have happened to Colby Covington. But you haven't answered the question. Do you think he will retire?
No, I did. I said I don't think he's going to retire. There's too many potential money fights. John Jones even clowned Colby recently and said, "Oh, great that you got the president ready on on the campaign trail. At least I won in front of him." So the excuse of I didn't train and I was getting the president ready on the campaign trail. What were you doing? Were you training Trump? He's not in that athletic shape. What were you doing to actually get President Trump ready? It's a stupid excuse.
Maybe he's giving him some political
Even
advice.
in the Colby Covington character, it's a poor excuse. You didn't show up to fight. You got beaten by the better man. Stoppage or not, Buckley deserves it. And for me, Buckley was in contention of fighter of the year because 4 fights in the space of 12 months, doing it pretty convincingly, beating Wonderboy, beating Colby, formidable opponents. It's only going to go up for him next year. Good on him.
And I'm saying,
and he called out Kamaru Usman as a great fighter. Call out at the end.
Kamaru Usman doesn't want to fight him, though. I think he's just stuck in everybody. But Colby Covington, he basically talks shit about John Jones. He talks shit about LeBron James. He talks shit about so many other people. But when you lose,
you got to back it up.
You got to back it up.
Like Ilya Topuria is a prime example. He backs it up.
You can't talk shit about people when you're losing. It just doesn't work because ultimately people are just going to say, well, you suck. And that's what happened. He sucked on the weekend.
Well, someone that didn't suck, and we spoke about Manel Kape. He's now one of my favorite fighters in the UFC.
Well, he was one of my favorite fighters going into it.
After UFC Sydney, the back and forth that he had with Kai Kara France and then going at Israel Adesanya immediately became one of my favorite flyweights in the division, in the world. And he was unbelievable. He was very convincing. After Manel Kape's victory, gets on the mic, calls out Kai Kara France, calls Israel Adesanya a bitch. Adesanya responded pretty well to it. Was that the best fighter call out? Then called out Pantoja, wants a title shot. Was that the best fighter call out of the year?
Yes. There's nothing more entertaining than one going at Adesanya because a lot of people I think don't like him, Manel Kape included. And it was just like, I'm not going to swear. And then he proceeded to swear and say every curse word that he knew in the English language.
He knew what he was doing. He knew he was on ESPN and still said, fuck Adesanya, which was hilarious.
And it was just like, it just continues the rivalry. Like even Adesanya goes, man, I wasn't expecting it. Yeah. But it's funny, but fuck.
I love the grudge that he's held against Kai Kara France because I know Kai Kara hates him too. I know there's actual, beef there and he probably wouldn't be wanting to step foot in New Zealand. But let's make it, if he doesn't get a title shot against Pantoja, make the Kai Kara France fight. Do it in Sydney.
So Manel Kape was asking for a title shot. He said, this is what I want.
Yeah.
He said it to Dana's face on the side of the octagon.
Yeah.
Dana White then in the post-match presser said, yeah, I'm going to give him what he wants, but he's not getting the title shot, which doesn't really make sense. That could only mean that he's getting Kai Kara France. I don't know if it's going to be in Sydney, but his next fight should 1,000% be against Kai Kara France. One, because both of them have lost to Pantoja. Kai Kara France needs one more fight. Manel Kape needs one more fight to go for the title.
Winner faces Pantoja.
Yeah, and the bad blood there. I think Manel Kape got moved up to 6th in the rankings, so he's 6th. So he needs one more fight, probably against a top 5 opponent,
and
to get a title shot.
It was great to see him test his striking, how quick he was. You compare that to the showing he had against Muhammad Mokaev, and it was just a night and day difference. That fight was so boring. They were keeping their distance. It was a wrestle fest, snooze fest, early morning in London, in Manchester. So again, potentially we just saw Mokaev win in Brave FC. He's going to come back into the fold. Could we see a Mokaev challenging for Pantoja?
Potentially. Pantoja needs to verse somebody that he hasn't versed before.
That's a challenge.
Because it's not 10-0, 9-0 against the top 10 in his division. That division needs some excitement. Manel Kape could be that excitement. It's hard to find people that are that electric on the mic.
He said he's going to be the next flyweight superstar. I think between Mokaev, him, and Pantoja challenging Figueiredo, it could be the year of the flyweight 2025.
I saw something though, like Figueiredo, if he can make it back down to flyweight, they'll give him a title shot.
Yeah, he deserve it.
Because he's the only person that's beaten Pantoja, I think, in the UFC still. So it's hard. Even I think Henry Cejudo said he wants to come back and maybe fight Pantoja coming out of retirement again. I don't know.
Oh, hurry up and pick a fight, Triple C. We want to see it back.
But I think that would make. I would like to see that. It's like a big name. I still think Pantoja maybe wins that fight as well with the form that he's in, but we'll see what happens.
Well, Ilya Topuria took to Twitter recently and said there was rumored fights online, rumored on Twitter, rumored online that he was going to face Conor McGregor in 2025. Conor McGregor and Ilya Topuria immediately go to Twitter and say, the rumors of me facing Topuria, purposely spelled his name wrong, are incorrect. I will not be doing that. Topuria then responded straight away, said, rumors of me facing Conor McGregor are not true. I have no intention of facing a rapist. So that's one way to put it, Ilya.
Well, the rumors earlier in the week were like, okay, Conor McGregor versus Ilya Topuria, it's happening in 2025. First, Ilya was rumored to face Charles Oliveira, then rumored to face Islam, then Conor McGregor. It's like he can get the big money fight, and it could happen. People thought, okay, it's a bit slack
Premature.
because Conor McGregor would probably get smashed
He's also
by Ilya
He's
Topuria.
also currently appealing a civil case.
People thought Ilya, if the fight was going to happen, would it be at 170? But that's obviously like a lot heavier than what Ilya Topuria fights. I think he fights maximum 145, walks around at 170 maybe.
Do you think it's going to be tough for McGregor to come back because you're going to get fighters going at him about this case all the time?
Yeah, but
I mean, it's the go-to now. All the Dagestani crew went at him for the case. Now Ilya Topuria responds to McGregor saying, "I'm not going to step foot in the ring with a," you know what I mean? So
it doesn't matter. It's Conor McGregor.
I know it's Conor McGregor, but it's always going to be brought up. I don't know if the UFC want that, and I don't know how McGregor's going to respond to it.
The thing is, if you do call him a rapist, whether it be at a press conference or an interview, you then got to deal with the backlash, the barrage of comments from Conor McGregor, not only about your personal life, about your appearance, everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can handle that. Someone that's obviously not a great trash talker, if you're going to get into a verbal altercation with Conor McGregor,
I don't know if that
you're going to lose.
trumps. I don't know if that trumps civil case, Nick. I don't know if that trumps civil
It does
case.
because it's already happened. It's not like you're releasing information in a Drake diss track that people didn't know, like, oh, he had a daughter or something that you just didn't know about. That's not the case.
But
everyone
then
knows this.
The news quickly became Conor McGregor versus Logan Paul. McGregor came out and confirmed that he's in initial discussions with facing Logan Paul in a boxing match. Now, this is in India. Some Indian billionaire is going to fund this boxing match, an exhibition match between two of the biggest superstars in boxing right now. Now, the Paul brothers are just run boxing at this point.
Yeah.
They're the money fights. People are going to tune into them. They get all the social interaction. But obviously, this Indian billionaire doesn't care about Conor McGregor's case and will say, let's go, let's put it on for the Indian people.
To put it into context, this Indian billionaire, Mukesh Ambani, I'm
Great
apologizing if I say it wrong,
Mukesh.
but he's got a net worth of $96 billion.
No, Mukesh is cashed.
So I don't know what he does in India. Apparently, he's in a multitude of industries across a lot of different businesses.
Is this the billionaire that had Justin Bieber at his wedding and
John Cena? I think came out to his wedding. I don't know. Apparently, he's got a lot of eggs in different baskets.
Beyonce just performs at some social events for him.
But this Mukesh can do whatever he likes, and he obviously wants to put on an event of Logan Paul versus Conor McGregor. Now, personally, I would have rather seen Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor. I don't know where this Logan Paul's getting thrown in. I know Logan said to Jake that he's a better boxer.
Logan's been to India already. He's probably met with Mukesh. Logan just did an India trip with Prime, with the whole crew there. So I think there's ties there. But regardless, I don't think Dana lets this happen.
Well, it's an exhibition, so does he have much say?
He would. I don't think the Floyd Mayweather was a professional bout.
That was a professional bout when both went to their boxing records.
So I don't know. Maybe an exhibition. Yeah, he definitely could. But again, I think the only person that can tell Dana what to do outside of the UFC and boxing is Turkey El Sheikh. Mukesh has to get on Turkey El Sheikh level with Dana to poach one of his fighters and say, fight Logan Paul.
96 billion. You can do a lot of things in life with 96 billion. And one of them is get Conor McGregor to fight.
Do you want to see it? Do you want to see Conor McGregor versus Logan Paul? I don't really care for that.
I want to see Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. That's what I want to see. It's about, where did Logan Paul come into this? The guy hasn't even come back to the WWE yet.
Did Mukesh even think of getting Michael Chandler involved in this exhibition? Like, the guy needs a break. He just had a grueling bout with Charles Oliveira, and he's still waiting for Conor McGregor. But McGregor did say in the tweet, I'm going to fight Logan Paul in this exhibition match, and then I will focus on my MMA comeback.
Is this a spoiled announcement? Was that supposed to be is there supposed to be a proper fight announcement for this? Or
No, I mean, it's got the internet ready for it. It's probably going to get it hyped up for. But again, do we even know if McGregor's in any fight shape, or does he have the mindset? Is he coked up just putting this out? You don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you can't be training in the octagon, then training in a boxing ring, and whether you think Logan Paul's an easy opponent or not, he does train for boxing, so it's not like he's going to be a walk in the park for McGregor. A lot of size difference, reach difference. I just don't want to see it happen. But Ambani, Indian billionaire, do whatever you want. It's sad for Michael Chandler. It's sad for the UFC because, Conor McGregor should be returning to the UFC in 2025. If he's doing an exhibition in January, does that mean Logan Paul's not coming out at the Rumble?
Mate, apparently he's a dad right now. They asked him if he's going to be at WrestleMania. He said, mate, I'm retired. I'm a father. Just had a father with Nina. You remember Nina Agdal?
Yeah.
Remember Dylan Dennis?
I'm familiar with
that lawsuit's still going on. So he's a father right now. Yeah. But, I mean, look, if the Indian people get an unbelievable exhibition, they deserve it. Good on you.
There's 1 billion Indian people. So even if you get 10% of them watching, there's just 100 million people watching that fight. So it's just like India's an untapped market for a lot of things. Well, that's not even talking about the diaspora.
Dana White recently, at the end of the UFC Tampa press conference, Dana White teased that there will be a massive fight announcement for 2025. Now, let's not bullshit around Dana's hyped up announcements. They've all been letdowns in 2024. You're talking UFC's fear. He made it out as if he was going to get John Jones versus, Daniel Cormier 3 on there. And it was going to be an unbelievable event, and the fights didn't really live up to the hype. I don't really trust Dana White teasing an announcement, but he has said, you won't believe what's going to come in 2025. He's looking to do a fight that will break the internet, essentially. What do you think it's going to be?
Well, again, let's look at his track record. UFC 300, going to be the best card ever, going to be the biggest main event ever. Pereira versus Jamal Hill.
Yeah.
Then UFC 306 was promoting again, like a big replacement, I think, for McGregor. Pereira again.
Mm-hmm.
Then UFC Sphere, it's going to be the biggest thing ever. UFC Noche, the Saudis are involved. Marab versus Sean O'Malley. So,
and I love Marab.
He does have a big track record of over-promising and under-delivering.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting the same thing again, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. What could this be? Initially, I thought it was Conor McGregor, but it's like he said it's unexpected. Everyone's kind of expecting McGregor's return.
Yeah.
Aspinall, John Jones, again.
He said he addressed that separately. He said that's what's going to happen. Brendan Schaub recently came out and said, I know what it is. I've been leaked information of what this fight announcement could be, and they're looking to do Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz in an MMA matchup around International Fight Week.
Not happening.
I don't know. I think Dana would actually be oiled up before we ever see Jake Paul in an MMA ring in the UFC.
Isn't Jake Paul like banned from attending UFC events?
No, I think
he's not allowed in the arena.
I'm pretty sure he's signed with the PFL, but Nate Diaz would never fight with the PFL. You got the Turkey El Sheikh ties to the PFL, so I could see it happening because Jake Paul can't really do anything bigger than Mike Tyson other than fighting MMA. And to do that against Nate Diaz, that's someone that could school him in MMA. It would be very interesting to see how he would go. He would sell the fight crazy. I think it would be a massive feature for Fight Week, but it could all be bullshit. I don't know. I mean, like Dana White overpromises all the time. Brendan Schaub has been wrong before, but Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, I'd pay to see it.
But the only thing is Dana White would rather be dead than have Jake Paul fight in the UFC. And I think having Jake Paul fight in the UFC is actually very slack to current UFC fighters.
What do you mean by slack for the international viewers?
Slack in terms of it's very unfair to fighters that have been putting in the work, have been trying to get on cards, trying to get on pay-per-view. Then you get someone who's not only not an MMA fighter, similar to CM Punk, who people were very unhappy with, and then someone who's also a controversial person getting onto a UFC card, UFC International Fight Week as well. It just doesn't make sense. I don't think that'll happen. I think Brendan Schaub's just making things up, trying to get a bit of clout there.
Are you in the business of making money, or are you in the business of making fights? I think making money seems to be a pretty big theme. They're breaking a lot of records at UFC. This would do numbers. And when you think about it, Jake Paul is a striker. He's developed himself into a great boxer. You can say who has he faced. People respect his boxing skills, like how people respect Alex Pereira's skills as a kickboxer before he came into the UFC. Like how people respected Kai Asakura before he got a title shot, and they respected his resume in Ryzen.
They were fighting in MMA.
I'd like to see how a boxer would go in the UFC. CM Punk had no MMA background. I mean, he did jiu-jitsu for a bit, but he had no professional.
And go watch the Mickey Gall fight. It's embarrassing. It's one of the worst things to watch. Like as a UFC fan, you're watching that and go, okay,
but you were intrigued.
He's not meant to be here.
You paid for it. You paid for it, and you wanted to see what would happen.
That's because I'm a WWE fan.
And I want to see what will happen with Jake Paul. So, look, I think Dana would rather die before it happens, but I would be intrigued by it.
Realistically, though, what could it possibly be? What he said, the way he said it in the press conference was, "Oh, it just happened last night. Like this is gonna this just got brought to me yesterday, and it's going to be massive. It's going to break the internet." So it's like, what could it be? It should only be fight announcement. Like if it's anything other than a fight announcement, I would find it extremely stupid. Is it Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg?
It could be that. It could be that they're doing be doing the AI. They'll be finally integrating the AI judging or the AI, ranking system, pound for pound ranking
again,
system.
Like you don't sell that as this is the biggest thing ever. Like this is like bigger than John Jones versus Aspinall is how he's kind of sold it. Because really, the biggest fight next year will be John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. If that's not the fight announcement,
biggest heavyweight fight of all time.
Is it Pereira versus John Jones? Again, I don't think it lives up to how he's selling the announcement.
I guess we'll wait and see. But I don't know if you saw on YouTube, Nick Mighty Mouse, Henry Cejudo, they've been collabing with Khabib Nurmagomedov. And it's been great to see Khabib on socials. The guy's very entertaining. But he recently came out and said, Dustin Poirier should just retire. These old heads in the UFC, that's enough. Just call it a day.
Well, he went through it. He said, Justin Gaethje, Khabib, Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson. That's it, brother. That's it. Like
You're
too
fighting,
old.
you're done. You're done in fighting.
Stop fighting.
Yeah.
And that's as much as harsh as it is. I think Khabib's just looking out for fighters post UFC, post fighting, worried about their health. It's obviously not healthy to be fighting
but
that late into your 30s.
Not everyone cares about their legacy as much as Khabib does. Khabib retired at what, 32?
Well, I don't think it's a legacy thing.
Well, I mean, but these guys can still make money. Dustin Poirier has come and said he wants one more fight, one more legacy fight for him. What, like, who cares?
I don't understand Khabib's shade at Dustin Poirier though, because
he just had a war with Islam.
that's what I'm saying. He just had a great fight with Islam, knocked out a young gun or perceived young gun in Benoit Saint Denis, and he's talking about it like, okay, this is my last fight. So he is stopping. So Khabib, like, you don't really have to tell him to stop fighting. It's kind of insulting. Tony Ferguson, to put him in the same discussion as Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, that's very insulting.
That's harsh.
Like Tony Ferguson should have retired 6 fights ago.
Yeah.
And he hasn't retired yet. To put him in the same conversation as
Look,
Poirier.
as much as you never want to get told by Dana in a post-match press conference that you should retire, at least let the fighters fight out the end of their contracts because they've probably been underpaid for so long. Let them finally get their payments, like how Stipe Miocic just got a massive payout to step in and fight John Jones.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier, Gaethje, these guys have put highlight reel knockouts out for years. They deserve their legacy fights. So, Khabib, not everyone can be, hey, I'm 30-0 and I just want to retire on top.
29.
Regardless.
But he did retire way too early. Like, that's a thing, whether it was people were saying that he was scared of going to the welterweight division, he didn't want to cut weight to 155 anymore, whatever the rumors are. Obviously, his dad passed away, didn't want to fight without him there. But he should have kept fighting. Like, Islam, I think, is the same age now as Khabib when he retired. If Islam was to retire right now, there's so many what-ifs on his career, whether it be going for double champ, whether it be fighting, Ilia Topuria, whether it be fighting someone else in his division. There's too much left, on the bone to chew. But, like, Khabib, he can do whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants.
Everyone respects him.
And if you look at the team that he's running, he's got the best fight gym in the world. So it's like, you have to respect what he says. Even Demetrius Johnson's going in there with 15 titles, and Islam and Khabib are clowning him. They're making fun of him. They're that level above.
Did seem a little bit condescending. I think Demetrius Johnson was getting some good content, but it looked like they were laughing at him a bit.
But another thing that Khabib did come out and say was that he didn't want Islam to fight Bilal Muhammad. And that's because he gives advice to Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad sometimes trains with the Dagestani team, and they just don't think that fight should happen. But Islam himself continually says, I want to be double champ. I want to go for the second belt. He said it to DC recently in an interview. I want to go for the double champ belt. He doesn't really want to fight many people in his division.
I just think right now he would still never fight Bilal. As much as they've hinted at it, he's going to wait for Bilal to lose the title before he can go up.
But that might not happen. That might not happen.
It might not happen, and he might miss the boat, and then he could do a potential super fight in that division, and then finally bite the bullet and face Bilal.
And I agree. I agree with Khabib and Islam. Charles Oliveira is not a fight that needs to happen against Islam. The second time before he pulled out and Volk had to step in, okay. But if Islam beats Arman Sarukian beat Charles Oliveira, Islam's already beat Charles Oliveira, so why should Islam face him again? He has to go up. That would be his fourth title defense.
Or
go up.
Just face another featherweight in Ilia Topuria.
No.
Why not?
Like, even Khabib himself said it's like he got no respect for having 2 title defenses against a featherweight. If he has to verse Ilia Topuria again, unless Ilia beats Charles.
If Ilia beats Charles.
That's where Khabib said if he beats Charles, then he can go for the title. But for him to go up straight away doesn't make sense. And Islam, I want to see him fight Bilal. I think he's hinted at it enough. He's not really a part of the clan.
Muslim brothers, man.
He's not really part of the clan, though. I don't think
that's what Khabib kind of hinted at. He said, "Listen, he's not a part of our team, right? He's not part of the."
But he likes
the
to
gym,
give him advice.
But he's been in the gym. He's trained with them. He's advised him. So it would be a bit of a conflict. But
you know what's funny?
Islam wants it.
You know what's funny? Bilal Muhammad, I think, is older than Khabib. So, like, for Khabib to be giving him advice...
Khabib's only 36. It's crazy.
That's what I say. For him to be giving Bilal Muhammad advice on how to fight, what to do, it's like he's that advanced in his fighting, in his craft, that he can give his elders advice on fighting. That's how good he is.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see. I think Islam definitely wants to ascend after this win. He's definitely conquered his division, and he's conquered featherweights too, RIP Volk. But I guess we'll see where that lands. And everyone's kind of in disarray right now because Ilia has said that he wants to go up. But he has also said nothing's set in stone and I'm not going to drop my title. So where does this leave him? What happens to the featherweight division?
He's negotiating. He's a smart negotiator. He's just telling people like, look, I don't need to do this. Just pay me to do this. He's definitely getting an event in Spain. I feel like it's been teased too much for there not to be an event in Spain. And that's the card I'm looking forward to most next year.
Well, what are your thoughts on the Saudi Arabia announcement? The recent Saudi card, it's a fight night. These fight nights are getting fucking bigger and bigger, Nick. Okay.
Especially the Saudi
These
ones.
Saudis and Abu Dhabi fights, I know they got the cash, but to get Israel Adesanya on a fight night, you got to be paying some big money. So Israel Adesanya officially headlining against Imavov, and then you've also got Shara the Bullet up against MVP at welterweight. So we're seeing MVP go up. Let's get our early predictions, Nick. Where do you see the MVP fight going?
I think Shara the Bullet will pull this off because of the weight advantage. I think MVP, as much as they're both strikers, it's not like he's a Dagestani wrestler. I just think MVP, the age thing. After seeing Colby Covington on the weekend, once I see a fighter and see their age, I just can't back them anymore. That's
Do you know why? Do you know why you're wrong? Did you see how MVP performed against Ian Gary? Outstruck him. Really, he was ahead of him. He was so much quicker and sharper. Yes, Shara's sharp, but he's not lightning quick like MVP. It's going to be
he's kind of reckless.
It's going to be a striking battle, and that's where I will back the underdog, Michael Venom Page, to get his first UFC victory. I think there's a lot of value there.
No, he beat Kevin Holland. Don't give me.
Oh, sorry, his second. Sorry, I forgot about that. His second UFC victory, and you saw Ian Gary was quality against Shavkat.
So it's not like he was a bad opponent.
Exactly right. So as much as and Shara's been tested at middleweight before, the only thing is going to be the weight difference, which I think MVP at his size and how tall he is going to be fine. So I'm going MVP with that one.
And then Adesanya, first non-title fight
since
2019, which is pretty, that's an amazing accomplishment. But I think he loses this fight as well. I think he's just on a downward spiral. He's not the same fighter, not the same mindset. And the person he's versing is a top 5 ranked fighter as well. So he's a nobody.
Yeah.
He's someone that beyond Hamza and Sean Strickland, he's looking to be next in line.
I think Israel Adesanya has a point to prove. He's in that crop of fighters of Usman, Volk, that need to
reverse their losses
and get back into title contention. With a point to prove, I think he finally gets it done. He looked good against DDP. Obviously, he got caught and then obviously got put to sleep or tapped out, sorry. But I just think we haven't seen the end of Izzy. He's got one more championship contender fight in him. And I think this is going to be that stepping stone to it.
Even if he wins this fight, though, he'll have to then verse maybe a Hamza, maybe a Strickland off a loss or DDP off a loss to get back in the title contention.
And if you look at previous fights, Strickland picked apart Imavov in their fight in a similar way that he fought against Izzy. So if Izzy adopts that walk, just
putting
kind of
pressure,
walking forward, striking, utilizing those leg kicks, I feel like I got to take Izzy here.
Yeah. I mean.
And look, right now, Izzy's going in as favorite and Shara's going in as favorite. So I'm not going to take two favorites. I'm taking Izzy and I'm taking MVP.
Well, I'll be taking the favorites. And I want Shara to win. As much as I like MVP, been very nice to us in person, I just think Shara is the bigger, more emerging star. You want the future star to get up here.
Yeah.
Better for his resume, better for.
Do you want to go down to Saudi February 1st?
Look, we've been there before. Lovely place.
Beautiful place.
Very hot. And they can put on sports events. I will and then maybe I'll think about it.
Don't mind that coffee with some dates while enjoying some UFC fights. But it's also a massive week of boxing. We've got the Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk rematch this week. Nick, what do you think happens in this rematch? They're both coming in extremely confident. We've been scouring. We've been watching the Fight Week interviews. Tyson Fury's coming out extremely confident. He's saying, you had me. You had me on ice skates and you still couldn't put me down. 10 free shots to my face and you couldn't put me to sleep. He's getting like, in his face saying, you're fucked. I'm going to beat you. I'm winning this rematch and I'm setting up a third fight. I back Tyson Fury. Where do you see this fight happening?
I kind of agree with Tyson Fury to the point of he lost by split decision and one of the rounds was a 10-8, which was that round 9 where he kind of got jolted and just kept getting battered by...
Closer fight than people make it out to be.
Yeah, so it's not like he got dominated. I understand that 10-8 round does really change people's perception of how the fight went. But Tyson Fury was very close to winning that round. For that fight. And if a couple of different rounds get scored differently, he wins the fight.
He said that punch that Usyk landed was a punch from the gods. 9 times out of 10, that punch does nothing to him. That punch that he hit him with put him down. I know he's trying to sell the fight, but you know who's also trying to sell the fight and doing it at a one-sided way? Turkey El Sheikh. Turkey El Sheikh on his YouTube channel jumps on a FaceTime with Tyson Fury and then adds Usyk to the call. And he's basically begging Fury to please beat Usyk so we can set up a trilogy match. Now, I know you want to generate some income, Turkey, but as a promoter, you have to be pretty neutral in this.
He's not neutral at all. He's letting people know where his favor lies. He really wants Tyson Fury to win because he wants that trilogy. But if I'm Usyk and I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, this guy's putting on the event. This guy probably has control over the outcome if it does go to a decision.
If I'm Usyk, I'm not wanting to let this go to the judges.
You can't let it go to decision at all.
It sounds like Turkey Al-Sheikh wants the rematch. He wants a trilogy.
Again, I understand, very business mindset. I agree with why you would want that. But for that to be, you can't say that out loud to the fighter's face.
Don't say it out loud, definitely.
Hey, do me a favor here, Alexander. I need the trilogy. What are you telling him to drop in the 8th round? What are you telling him to do? But Tyson Fury, in his fight week promotion, has said he's going to do the exact same thing. He's not doing anything different from his previous fight camp. He's going in with the same game plan because he thinks he won the last fight. He didn't think much went wrong. He's growing the beard out. He says he's not going to shave the grey part of his beard either. He wants to show his age.
Yeah.
But he thinks he's in the best shape of his life. I think he said he put on like 30 pounds or something from his last fight. I think it was 170. He might be 200 coming into this fight.
He has
which is a lot heavier.
Unusual superstitions in the past, and we'll get into that. But for this fight, Tyson Fury has said he hasn't spoken to his wife for 3 months.
Yeah, his whole family, he said.
He's that locked in the zone to get into beast mode. He's not talking to his wife, which I just think he wants a break from the family. If you're putting that, but 3 months is a long time. But if we've got Tyson Fury in a championship mindset like this, I'm backing Tyson Fury in this fight. The prize money for this fight is set to be 150 million pounds. Going into the last one, Tyson Fury was the A side, getting the majority of the purse. This time around, you got Usyk getting the majority of the purse. I think you're going to see a motivated Tyson Fury. As much as he's retired 3 or 4 times, he wants this trilogy. He said on the FaceTime with Turkey Al-Sheikh, he wants a trilogy. I'm going Tyson Fury win.
I think I'm going to take Tyson Fury as well. The size and, weight mismatch with the hunger and motivation to redeem himself. And then obviously with the Turkey Al-Sheikh influence of the decision to say, I'm going to have the trilogy go ahead. If it goes to the decision, Tyson Fury is winning. So Usyk's only shot here is to knock him out. And as Tyson Fury said, I don't think he's got the power to do it. I don't think he's got the knockout power to put someone that big on their ass. Because you remember, Usyk is naturally not a heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight. He's gone up in weight to be a heavyweight boxer. So I don't think he's got that much power to knock him out. And, he did have him on skates, but he didn't finish the job.
Nick, I don't know if you know what's been going on in WWE, but Kevin Owens is pretty much going out trying to break other superstars' necks.
Well, I saw on Saturday night main event, the broadcast had ended. Then I scroll on Twitter and I see that he's pile drived Cody Rhodes and pretty much try to end his career.
Well, when does this become manslaughter? Like, I don't know if you can keep going around. You can't, if you're going in your office job, HR's going to pull you up if you're just going around breaking your colleagues' necks. Well, he did this to Randy Orton. We haven't seen Randy Orton since. He goes, after the broadcast is done, grabs Cody Rhodes into a package pile driver. And you saw the injuries to Cody Rhodes. It's pretty disgusting. Cervical bruising.
Neck bruising, all nervous,
damage to the central nervous system.
Yeah, so he's looking to end his life essentially, which is disgusting. And Kevin Owens, after doing it to Randy Orton, a legend of the business, who hasn't been seen for 2 months, and he's still out indefinitely, so who knows what's going on there, who also had a previous back injury.
That's scary. Like for doing it to Randy Orton, who's just had fusion back surgery, now we have to worry about his neck. It's negligent nonetheless. I'm sure there's going to be a lawsuit on the hands. You saw Triple H had the shits. Triple H came out, confronted Kevin Owens, push and shove. Like for a member of management to push one of their employees like that, get in his face, I thought it was, you saw how pissed off he was because he's probably going to have a lawsuit on his hands. Because when does it become either manslaughter or, attempted bodily harm to another employee?
And it's not like he doesn't know the rules, okay? It's been outlawed for a while. You're not allowed to pile drive.
Pile drivers have been illegal since Owen Hart.
And it's been ruled out because people have broken their necks and people have also had career-ending injuries. And Kevin Owens, knowing that it's illegal, knowing that he's not allowed to do it.
It's very reckless.
You're not even allowed to do it inside the match. So he's actually waited for the match to finish. He's waited for the broadcast to finish. And then he's tried to end his career.
I understand Kevin Owens' frustration. I could see where he's coming from. Like, everyone has turned their back on him and sided with Roman Reigns, who used to do a lot of evil back in the day. Like, I'm telling you, when the tribal chief was dirty to everyone and winning by any means necessary, putting people through tables and winning with dirty finishes, I can understand why Kevin Owens has the shits, but you can't go around trying to break people's necks.
The thing with Kevin Owens, you say he's frustrated because people are siding with Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
But he, of all people, should know about people trying to end people's careers because he said himself Roman Reigns tried to end his career.
Yeah.
So now you're being the hypocrite and trying to end other fighters' careers? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I just think it's just a matter of time before we see potentially a lawsuit on WWE's hands, because if all these wrestlers are going to come out with broken necks, or, you know, have a chat to Big E, because he's been on the shelf for over a year. Have a chat to Edge, who broke his neck, okay? Because these guys will tell you, they don't want to be on the shelf for too long, and it's one of the most egregious injuries to come back from. Have a chat to Daniel Bryan.
What does this mean for Cody Rhodes, though? How long is he out for?
Well, potential months.
Does he have to vacate the title?
I don't know. I don't know if he vacates the title from here. I'm sure we're going to hear about it on Raw and SmackDown, but it's scary, to say the least. I think he'll be on the shelf for at least a month or two with cervical bruising.
Well, if he's having to vacate the title, we could maybe see an interim title in the WWE. Maybe
First ever interim WWE champion.
Maybe we can get an interim WWE champion and, you know, undisputed at the Royal Rumble. Who
I'd
knows?
like to see it. I'd like to see it for sure. I guess we're going to have that future address this week, but
I'm saying there's been suspensions before in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if I see Kevin Owens suspended for his actions on the weekend.
he deserves some form of at least a punishment or some workplace suspension for sure.
But then if Undertaker comes back, is he allowed to do a tombstone?
Tombstones are fine. It's a finisher. It's pretty safe. Undertaker's been doing it,
And it's
since.
within the guise of an organized match.
He's a WrestleMania legend. If he only does it once a year, he's retired right now. I don't know if we'll say that again.
It's a sanctioned match. He's allowed to do it.
Yeah,
if you're doing it outside a sanctioned match, you're pretty much evil.
I guess we'll wait and see. But that's all we have time for today on Trash Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to @KRoosBros on YouTube, and keep an eye out for our clips @Jon-Bernard K on Instagram and TikTok. That's all we have time for. Back to you in the studio, Ryan.